Josh Giddey and Coby White continue to play well as the Chicago Bulls beat the Portland Trailblazers tonight. We're going to be talking about the key takeaways from tonight's win. This is your host, Rico Greenhowe, and you have found yourself on another episode of Bulls Digest. And so tonight, the Chicago Bulls beat the Portland Trailblazers at home 118-113. And I think that the key takeaway out of this is that, look, this was not a pretty win, but the Chicago Bulls found a way to get it done, and that's all that matters, is that the Chicago Bulls got the win. And so before we go ahead and jump into the key takeaways from tonight's game, I first wanted to remind you that look, 73.4% of you that watch are not subscribed to the channel. So make sure you go ahead and you slam dunk on that subscribe button, just like Modest Buzelis did in tonight's game, because it means a lot to us here at Bulls Digest as we try to reach our end of the season subscriber goal. And so with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the box score and look at the key takeaways from tonight's game. And so we always start with the MVPs, and I have 4 MVPs on the night. And so let's start with MVP number 1, and that is Josh Giddey. Look, Josh Giddey had a triple-double in this one. This is the 6th triple-double that he has had this season, which equals, I believe, a season high for him. And so that is huge, just starting off with that. But his stat line tonight, 15 points, 12 assists, but 19 rebounds. That is incredible that you get that type of production as far as rebounding from the point guard position. And so a huge triple-double for Josh Giddey. He was plus 10 in this one. And I think that was, or really what was really the most impressive thing about this is he did not shoot the basketball very well. He was 4 of 13 from the field. He was 0 of 1 from downtown, but he made it to the free throw line 9 times. And in 39 minutes, he got the triple-double, and he continues to be aggressive. He continues to play with a ton of confidence. And so I think that this was a very solid, this was a terrific triple-double for Josh Giddey. And so I got to give him a ton of credit. And so he is MVP number 1 for me. And so next up, MVP number 2 for me, it is going to be Coby White. Look, Coby White continues to score the basketball at a high rate. I believe now this is 18 out of his last, 19 games where he scored 20 or more points. And so look, Coby White had it going once more. Again, a ton of confidence. You could just tell that, look, Coby White is at another level right now as far as his leadership, and then as far as his confidence on the offensive end. He had 31 points in this one, 7 assists, 5 rebounds, and he was -2 in the plus-minus box score. But I loved how he scored his 31 tonight because he was 9 of 16 from the field, 2 of 6 from downtown, but more importantly, he got to the free throw line 12 times, and he converted 11 of those in 35 minutes. And so that is spectacular play from Coby White, and really that kind of defines what we are seeing from this backcourt. They are putting pressure on the rim, they are getting fouls, and they are making defenses pay. So another phenomenal game from Coby White as well. And so he was MVP number 2. And so MVP number 3 for me is going to be Vooch. I think that, look, Vooch came out tonight. This was probably, I think, the best energy game that I've seen from Vooch since the whole trade deadline and also to the start of the season. I was super impressed with the way Vooch just started. You could just tell the way that Vooch came out, it was like, okay, yeah, he's on. He had 31 points in this one. He had 12 rebounds. He had 2 assists. He had 2 blocks. He was +2. He was 13 of 22 from the field. Only 2 of 3 from downtown. So that lets you know just what Vooch was doing as far as scoring. It was in the paint. It was turnarounds. It was all kinds of stuff there in 33 minutes. And so I loved the way that Vooch came out tonight. Look, he really imposed his will inside, and it just really gave us something to start off with on the offensive end. So Vooch, ton of credit. He was MVP number 3 for me. And so my last MVP on the night, it is going to go to our rookie, and that is Modest Buzelis. Look, I think Modest Buzelis yet again shows us another flash of brilliance in this game. He had 12 points. He had 12 rebounds. This is his first double-double in his NBA career, so we have got to give him credit there. But then on top of that, the 3 block shots, that was incredible. We'll talk about that in a moment. He was +8 in the plus-minus box score, 5 of 10 from the field, 2 of 4 from downtown in 34 minutes. And so starting with the block shots, look, there was one play in which initially it looks like he gets rocked back by the defender. He comes up and literally pins the ball off of the backboard. He couldn't recover it and keep it in bounds, but still, the athleticism, the rim protection. Look, we talk about his offense. We talk about what he could do in the open floor, but the fact that he continues to show these type of flashes on the defensive end, I cannot wait until he gets just a lot stronger, and then he just becomes that much more better as an on-ball defender. He is going to be stellar as a two-way player. And then when you talk about the three-point shooting, look, he was 2 of 4 tonight. What I loved about Modest Buzelis is he was absolutely gutsy at the end of this game, because Portland had a chance to come back into this one. He airballed a shot, he came right back down, and he hit a huge three-pointer for this team. That is what we love about Modest Buzelis. That is something that you cannot measure on the stat sheet. This is why he has to be MVP number 4 on the night. Getting your first double-double, blocking shots like this off of the board, and then hitting, just basically dagger three-pointers like that. You, my friend, are an MVP for us tonight. So a great performance here from Modest Buzelis. And so now let's go ahead and jump into the box score and take a look at just the rest of the performances for today. And so let's go ahead and start with Kevin Huerter. And so look, I know it wasn't the best night for Kevin Huerter, but I continue to say this with Kevin Huerter. I think he's moving a lot like he did with the Atlanta Hawks. So he only had 9 points in this one, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 block. But he wasn't a negative in the plus-minus box score. He was 3 of 10 from the field, 3 of 7 from downtown in 34 minutes. But again, just what he provides from a leadership standpoint. He was with that Atlanta Hawks team that I believe went to the Eastern Conference Finals. He's looking a lot better than what he looked with the Kings, and so that has been huge for us in the starting lineup. And so next, we shift focus and look at the bench here. And so let's go ahead and start with Zac Collins. And so I liked Zac Collins. I liked his energy tonight. I know he only played 15 minutes, but I liked what he was doing as far as just being confident, shooting the 3 ball. I know he was only 1 of 2 tonight. I think he's really struggled a little bit over the last couple games, kind of cooled down. But still, when it was there, he took it. And he also was not bad from the field, 2 of 4 from the field, 5 points, 2 rebounds. He had a steal, he had a block, he was +3. I liked his minutes tonight. And so next up, look, Patrick Williams struggled in this one. He missed like a poster dunk. I think it was in transition. It would have been nice to see that one go down for him. Struggled from the field. He was 1 of 5, 0 of 2 from downtown, 14 minutes. He did get 5 rebounds. -3 in the plus-minus box score in 2 points. And so Patrick Williams, look, he's very much still trying to figure it out as a player. I'm not sure what, the Bulls are going to do, as far as the role, because he's started, he's come off the bench, and so still Patrick Williams trying to figure it out. And so next up, look, he was close to being an MVP just because he was just an absolute bucket, and I think he's had like a great week. And so I think he would be right there as an MVP, but he just was outside of the top 4 for me tonight, and that was THT. THT, 13 points, +1, 4 of 5 from the field, 0 of 1 from downtown. I believe he was 5 of 6 from the free throw line. And I will give THT a lot of credit because his off-ball movement tonight, it was nice. I think Giddey hit him for a nice backdoor pass, which led to a dunk. And then also, too, Josh Giddey hit him for a nice, I think a head kind of pass, either in the fast break, and he had a nice dunk on that. And so THT, his movement tonight, I liked what he was doing in the offensive end. And so next up, we got Julian Phillips. And so look, Julian Phillips in 5 minutes of play was a +5 for us tonight. Didn't score the basketball, but did have an assist. I loved what I saw from Julian Phillips. The same can be said about Dalen Terry. He didn't score tonight. He had 4 rebounds. He had an assist. He had 1 steal. He had 1 block. He was +1. He was 0 of 2 from the field, 0 of 1 from deep in 15 minutes. But look, what I love most about both of these players is they continue to carve out a role. They continue to show us that they can be players that can come off the bench. They can give you some energy. They can knock down some shots. They can definitely put some stats in some categories and be a plus in the plus-minus box score. Those are players that you want to continue to build with, especially coming off the bench. I think it's just going to be a matter of them continuing to get better and taking that step forward, because I think at some point, look, Billy Donovan might have to go to these guys, especially if there's other injuries that happen in your starting lineup. You need to be able to have these guys be able to slide in and be an impact for you. But I liked what I saw from both of them tonight. I think that the most disappointing thing that we saw is we didn't see Jalen Smith out there. Like, I think that Jalen Smith did not play. I think that is disappointing, especially with Clegan getting all those rebounds along with the Portland Trailblazers. They were crushing us there for a bit on the boards, and so I think that you definitely could have put him in the game. But aside from that, I think that this was a great win for the Bulls because it wasn't pretty, but they found a way to get it done. And the Portland Trailblazers, you got to give them a ton of credit. They're still playing for something. They still very much have a chance to get into the play-in situation. They're 11th right now. But I like the energy really from both teams. And so a great win for the Chicago Bulls. And so now we go ahead and we move into just the team box score and look at the key takeaways from that. And so let's go ahead and start with the rebounds here. So the Bulls in the rebounds, 61-54 in that department. So it's good to see that the Bulls were able to out-rebound the Portland Trailblazers, because I think that they did a great job as far as hitting the offensive glass. As far as the turnovers were concerned here, look, the Bulls have got to get a lot better there. 18-5 as far as the turnovers tonight. The Bulls lead in that category, so very sloppy basketball for us. This is something that we've struggled with at times. 8-5, the Bulls lead in the block shots, so good activity there. 62-58 as far as points in the paint. That went to the Portland Trailblazers. They were able to take care of business as far as getting it done in the paint. 7-2, Portland in steals, so they lead that category. 16-15, Portland. They are leading in the fast breaks by 1 there. And then this was the story of the game, was the field goal percentage. And so you see that the Bulls, 47.1 from the field, 37% from downtown. When you look at the Portland Trailblazers, 38.3 from the field, only 26.2 from downtown. They really could not get it going there. And so that was the difference. The Bulls were able to make shots, continue to keep pressing on, and obviously got the win. 25 assists to 41 field goal makes for the Bulls, so that was great to see. And then another key aspect out of this is the free throws. And so the Bulls went to the line 31 times, and they made 26 of those, so 26 of 31 from the free throw line. And then you have the Portland Trailblazers. They only went to the free throw line 18 times, made 14 of those, so 14 of 18 there. So the Bulls were able to get to the free throw line. We talked about this with Josh Giddey, and then also to Coby White. This is why you love what they're doing. They're putting pressure on the defense. They're putting pressure on the rim. And if they're not scoring and going to the free throw line, it is opening up other things for the rest of the team here. And so, look, a solid win from the Chicago Bulls. I think that we had a lot of, just solid performances across the board. We obviously got some key statistics come off the board, whether it was Modest Buzelis in his first double-double. Vooch, he has 200 double-doubles now in a Chicago Bulls uniform, if I'm not mistaken, which ties him for Scottie Pippen. So that's big. Congratulations to him. You have Josh Giddey, his 6th triple-double this season. I believe that is a season high for him. And so quietly, I think that this guy is maybe having a career year along with Coby White. I think that these guys are putting it together. THT, he was just a bucket getter. We talked about Coby White and just his ability to continue to score. 18 of the last 19 with 20 plus. And so good stuff from the Chicago Bulls. Let me know what your key takeaways are as the Chicago Bulls beat the Portland Trailblazers. Hold the tiebreaker over the Miami Heat. So they are 9th now. I think they still have a chance to kind of move up a little bit. We already talked about this. They are in the play-in situation. Just a little bit more house cleaning here. Lonzo Ball, I think he was close, or maybe they were expecting maybe that he would maybe suit up tonight. He tried to, I guess he was at the shoot around or whatnot, still not feeling comfortable with that wrist. And so we talked about that in yesterday's video. And so at some point, hopefully Lonzo is able to feel comfortable enough to be an impact for the Chicago Bulls, and we will see him back. And so we'll be talking about that as we give an update, or get an update, I should say. And so anyway, let me know what the key takeaways are. And as we always say, go Bulls. And look, I will see you guys on the next one. All right, peace.